hate to break your perceptions of things, but I'm pretty sure that if I was alive in the 60s or the 30s, I would have been off in the corner taking notes rather than at the front of the line yelling and screaming. And I think it's important that we don't come down too hard on these note takers too. After all, I wouldn't have any memory of the 30s or the 60s if they weren't taking those notes. I don't see much of a difference between writing things in a notebook and typing them on the internet, except of course that my journal is now open and everybody can read it. So you can save your Ludditism for somebody else. I actually think this is an improvement. It's an improvement in social access. The error that you're making is you're looking at the introverts and you're saying, why aren't those introverts being extroverted? Without realizing that we were always introverted. You just get to read our thoughts now. In the past, we would have scrawled our notes out somewhere, and most of the time, what we wrote nobody would have even read it, right? We'd pour our hearts and our lives out into these little notebooks, and if we're lucky, they'd get buried with us. Now it's on the internet. Now you can see what we do. Don't confuse us for the loudmouths, you know. Don't confuse us for the leaders, you know. It's not what our role was in the past. In the past, you would have never known that we existed. This is a benefit. It takes a certain kind of ability to be able to organize a movement. You have to be sociable, extroverted, amiable, affable even. And you need a certain leadership ability. You have to be somebody that people look up to. I don't have that skill set, and I don't want it. You know what, though? When I was a kid, I was told I did. I was given a set of expectations. I suppose it's mostly a reflection of my various test scores. I may have actually been the only person in the room that realized this was an error, and I was never going to live up to those expectations, because I didn't actually want to. I could even argue that all of the pressure put on me to lead was formative in my insistence that other people think for them fucking selves, because I don't want to be given the responsibility of thinking for them. The expectation to lead is a type of slavery. And I am in full solidarity with all those who break free of the chains and live not for the collective, but for themselves. That said, I don't want to present my argument in terms of a negative. I'm not trying to suggest I can't lead, so I should therefore observe. You know, it's like a consolation prize. No, that's not what I'm saying. Not everybody can take good notes either. That itself is a kind of skill, and one I've spent a lot of time developing. Instead of trying to convert people into clones, why don't we look at this instead? From each according to their ability, to each according to their needs. How about that? I like that. I like that a lot better. Fuck your leaders. This is something I wrote a while back, and in fact I've written a lot on this topic. It's in my Word document there. Leaders are those who follow from the front. The quality that defines a good leader is an ability to understand the tendencies in the herd, and then repeat it back in a way that justifies their use of power. There's consequently no real difference between a leader and a follower, except where they exist in the hierarchy. If we are to be reduced to only leaders and followers, we are destined to stumble around in circles, because only the blind may lead, and only the deaf may follow. There is, however, a difference between those who engage and those who do not. Rather than thinking in terms of this silly leader-follower distinction, it would rather behoove you to conceive of situations in a philosopher-actor sort of distinction. Actors are leaders and followers, people who take part in the group. Philosophers are those who sit back and watch the leaders follow themselves around in circles. From this point of abstraction, they are able to conceive of problems in the way that people behave. The key thing that needs to happen is that the actors need to listen to the philosophers. Not all the time, and not all of them, but sometimes, and some of them.